You see how much kidnappers are picking for victims.
My thing is, what can you do there? I think all these people guys get that, and I think you get that. The 3% for the oil producing community is too low.
But the support that is needed. And once you get the support, your airline people will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
Good morning, viewers. This is Inside Nigeria for Thursday morning, February 10, 2022. My name is Body Badibo. As usual, we shall be looking at lead stories on some national dailies today, beginning with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, The Leadership, and as well have a discussion about a trending story of the day. And without much ado, let's start with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, The Leadership. On the front page of Leadership this morning, adulterated fuel, federal government launches probe as farm fingers NNPC subsidiary. Adulterated fuel, federal government launches probe as farm fingers NNPC's subsidiary. NNPC seeks to bridge petrol supply gap. Hitman blames infractions on extension of PIA implementation. NNPC seeks to bridge petrol supply gap as Hitman blames infractions on extension of Petroleum Industry Act implementation. Well, that's on the front page of Leadership this morning. Let's go to our sister publication, The National Economy. On the front page of National Economy, this story comes an interesting story. Health insurance subscribers to pay more for healthcare services. Health insurance subscribers to pay more for healthcare services. Hospitals demand higher premiums, cite rising costs of healthcare equipment, rent, and drugs. Hospitals demand higher premiums, cite rising cost of healthcare equipment, rent, and drugs as behind the rise in cost of healthcare services. And for that, health insurance subscribers are now to pay more. All right, we'll come back to that later. Now, what we have now, the third newspaper on our menu this morning, the Vanguard. And of course, on the front page of the Vanguard, bad for scarcity worsens, cost storage delay removal. Bad for scarcity worsens, cost storage delay removal. Marketers decry lack of space to stock new products. Federal government marketers set up committees to assess situation. NNPC, MDPAR warned against panic buying in Lagos and Abuja. Well, that's on the front page of Vanguard this morning. Let's go to the last newspaper on our menu this morning, and that is the THISDAY newspaper. On the front page of THISDAY is the same trending story of the adulterated fuel. Kyari names MIRs, Emadeb Consortium to handle Duke Oil as corporates. Adulterated fuel. Kyari, of course, Kyari is the group managing director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, which is now fingering the corporates in this adulterated fuel saga. Kyari names MRS, Emadeb Consortium, Ohando, Duke Oil as culprits, explains why inspectors did not dictate bad petrol before circulation. National Oil Company requests emergency supply. NMDPR says nation has 10-day reserve deficit. NMDPR says nation has 10-day reserve deficit. Well, that's that on the front page of THISDAY this morning. We'll be going on a short break. When we come back, we'll be looking at a trending story of the day.
sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 08036886158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Welcome back. It's still Inside Nigeria for Tuesday morning, February 10, 2022. Now I've been joined by Ismaila Omikidon, the Chief Press Secretary to Governor Guega. Good morning, Mr. Omikidon.
Good morning, my brother. Good morning, Nigerians.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
The pleasure is mine.
Yeah, I understand your busy schedule, so I will not waste your time. Let's go straight to issues. Now, the Osun governorship election 2022 is just a few weeks ahead. Now, let's know, why should Osun people vote your principal, Governor Guega Oyetola, for the second time after 4 years?
Thank you very much. First, like I always tell people, if you want to assess my principal, be fair to him, assess him against the background of what Osun was before he became governor, of what the situation was before he became governor, and what the situations are today. For instance, you agree with me that before Adegboyega Oyetola happened on the soil of Osun, Osun is known for several negative issues. Today you hear about civil unrest. Tomorrow you hear about labor unrest. The next time you hear about half salary. At another time you hear about modulated salary and all sorts of things. But thank God today, in the last 3 years plus, I am not sure you have had any of such stories. That is one. Two, don't forget that before 2018, most Nigerians, most political analysts believe that it was impossible to pay full salary in the state of Osun. I concede that people will argue that payment of salary is not an achievement. But where it became a serious campaign issue, where virtually all the leading political parties and their candidates made it a campaign promise, what that means was that there was an issue. Therefore, the man who is now doing everything possible to ensure the full and regular payment of salary should be given a pat on the back. In the last 3.5 years or thereabouts, we have consistently paid salary without borrowing a dime from anywhere. In spite of that, we are doing roads, we are building infrastructures. Again, we are taking deliberate effort to diversify our economy. Osun, before 2018, had 17 mining licenses, but no government until we came in made any serious effort to ensure they develop that sector. As I speak to you, our efforts in that sector is using positive results. There is a gold buying center which will come up anytime soon. So we also made deliberate effort. We also made deliberate effort to diversify the state's economy, anchoring it on 3 major sectors. We call it ATM: agriculture, tourism, and mining. And so far, we are doing very well as far as that is concerned. Come to education. Apart from embarking on major reforms in the education sector, we have also ensured that we recruited additional teachers, 1,000 of them, to add to the number of those we inherited. And since we came in, our performance in WAEC and JAM has improved tremendously from about 46% to 56, 65, as we speak. Again, we reckon that COVID may have affected a lot of businesses, may have affected a lot of families. So apart from ensuring that we facilitate loans from the federal government, we are also, through our own microfinance agency, ensure that other smaller businesses pick up, while some also start up their new business. Now, aside from that, we have been doing that consistently since the beginning of last year, and Mr. Governor has said that that program will continue so long as he remains the governor of the state. Again, in terms of security, don't forget the primary purpose of any government is the welfare and security of life of the citizens. Osun is not an island. We also share from the national security challenge. But if we check the records, if we check the statistics, you agree with me that Osun remains one of the most peaceful states in the country. And that is largely attributed to the character, persona, and the disposition of the man in charge of the affairs of the state. So if you ask an average Osun person across political divide, they will tell you that they never gave Oyetola a chance because of the situation. I am sure they will tell you that for now there appears to be no alternative to him, because this was a man who happened at a time some commentators were saying that Osun perhaps should be annexed to any bigger and buoyant state around the region, so as to put it out of insolvency. But thank God, that is no longer the story today. And that's why a lot of people are amazed that how is the man being able to do some of the things he's doing. And he's been able to do it largely because we have been able to block wastages. We set our priorities right. We only spend when it is necessary. We don't spend anyhow.
All right, Mr. Amuki, that is interesting, reading out your scorecard in the last 4 years. Well, it is interesting because you said Osun, before Governor Itola appeared on the political horizon, was known for negative development. Interestingly, Governor Itola was the chief of staff in the previous government for 8 years. So can you tell us his role in that previous government?
Well, thank God we are both in the journalism business. And just like in governance, in the newsroom, there are processes. We have reporters, we have line editors, we have the editors, we have the MD. You agree with me that you cannot hold a deputy editor or perhaps a line editor responsible for what goes into the paper when he is not the last man. Invariably, what I'm saying in essence is that when a man is in charge, he's in charge. When he's not in charge, he's not in charge, and he can never be in charge. Perhaps that probably explains why, if you notice very well, you agree with me that yes, he was chief of staff, but then his involvement in the government will be to the extent with which the principal wants him to get involved. However, because he was part of that government, he should also be commended for having the courage to review some of the things that were done in that previous administration, which the people apparently never liked. And the review which he has carried out now appears to be in tandem with the wishes and aspirations of the people. That is what I would say to that, sir.
All right. You said also Nigeria as one of the safest states in Nigeria. So can you let us into some of the initiatives or measures you have taken to bolster security in the state of Osun in the last 4 years?
Well, one of the things we did was to adopt a bottom-up approach. We started by engaging with the traditional rulers to let them understand the need to get involved in whatever we do. We pride ourselves as an administration that is very, very much concerned with inclusive governance. From the traditional rulers, we engage with the various groups. For instance, in our state, we have a committee known as Committee on Peaceful Coexistence between crop farmers and the Boro Fulanis. Now, it was that same committee that my principal, at one of their meetings in Akure, sometimes early last year, suggested to the Southwest governors, and it has been adopted that most states should, copy that. What we do with that is to ensure that there is no the usual incessant clashes between crop farmers and herders. Again, we keyed into the Amoteku arrangement in the southwest. We just did some recruitment recently. Now, apart from the Amoteku, we also have the local hunters who are being incorporated into our security architecture. We also have the conventional security operatives under a joint task force arrangement, and all that has really helped to help keep our state secure. We recorded some incidents of kidnappings last year, but I make bold to say that none lasted beyond 48 hours before they get rescued. So if you ask around, in fact, about a month ago, we had cause to host the Sokoto State Governor, and when we were taking them into their hotels, we needed to move some of them out of GRA to another location. And one of them asked me, and I was like, Baza Bamu escort Baza Bamu Ensendaba, and I told him, in our place here, you don't need a dance and that to move around any time of the day. And I was put right, eventually.
So you told your guests that they don't need police escorts to move about in the Osun State. So does this apply to all the nooks and crannies of Osun State as we speak today?
Yes, as I speak to you, people move freely, any time of the day, without fear, without let or hindrance.
All right, Mr. Amikidon. Now the Osun governorship primary election is just 2 days away. Now tell us about the chances of your principal in this forthcoming primary election of the All Progressive Congress, because I know there are formidable opposition to his planned return to the government house in Osogbo. So tell us about his chances.
What were the yardstick that you used to measure them for you to have drawn the conclusion that the president is formidable? If you look at the Osun APC, the APC is one big family, and those you call formidable opposition are just a tiny fraction of the entire population of the APC in the state. If you call those group formidable, how will you describe the party where Baba Kande preaches his tent, where all the former deputy governors, including our mother, Mama Titi Lau Eponle, who served the immediate past governor, where they are, where virtually all the former governors. I mean, if you call the other caucus formidable, I don't know how you will describe the party itself. We started a consultation about 2 weeks ago, and you need to see the turnout. As a matter of fact, one of our elders that is being touted as the aspirant that will contest the ticket with my principal, who is from Iwo, for instance. We were at Iwo on Monday. I need to hear what the traditional ruler said. Apart from the fact that the reception was wholesome, the traditional ruler said emphatically that anybody who wants the growth and development of Iwo in particular, and that of the state in general, must queue behind Oyetola, that because the man has acquainted himself well in the last 3+ years as the governor of the state. In fact, he also spoke to the fact that under Oyetola, we no longer hear that civil servants who were used to begging because they were not getting their salaries regularly are no longer begging. This was Oluwo himself saying publicly before the members of the APC, and there appears to be some hypocrisy around that. How do I mean? Part of the reasons they claim they were up in arms against Famodo, the current chairman of the party, was that because he is from the same senatorial district with the governor. Even though we have had that in the past, where the then party chairman hailed from the same senatorial district with the then governor, who is the current minister. But as we speak, the man who is being touted to be their favorite to contest the ticket with my principal is not only from the same senatorial district with their so-called party chairman, but they are from the same Iwo town. How do you call that, if not mischief and hypocrisy? But beyond that, I believe very strongly that God and the people of the state are behind my principal. And come 19th of this month, you will hear the result of the contest.
All right, Mr. Omikidon, you queried my choice of words as to formidable opposition in APC or to Governor Boyega Oyetola. Now, let me give you my reasons. I know your party in Osun is not one as we speak, it's balkanized. Now, we have a faction of the party called the Osun Progressive, COP. Now, with this division in your party, does Governor Boyega Oyetola stand a chance of flipping the party's ticket at the forthcoming party primary election?
Well, I can tell you emphatically that where we stand today, we are in the majority. And in the democracy, they say minority will have their say, but majority will have their way. I have listed to you the caliber of persons in our vote. Virtually all the members of the National Assembly are with us. Virtually all the members of the State House of Assembly are with us. Virtually all the elders of the party, Igbimagba, they are with us. And the majority of the members of because if you look at the group you are talking about, apart from the Interior Minister who came out openly recently to announce his backing of the group, can you tell me one other prominent politician in the state that is in that group? None, except these paper tigers and and rabble rousers. And I tell you, come 19th of this month, you will see where the party truly is. And again, usually when there are contests for position and when legal issues arose from them, I think once the Supreme Court decides, we put everything to rest. They were laying claim to, one of them was laying claim to being the chairman of the party. But we're in Abuja recently when the certificate of return were issued to those who were duly elected. I am not sure the so-called chairman of their group was given that certificate. For me, if you ask me, I will plead that since a certificate of return has been issued to Famodun, we should no longer refer to any other person as the chairman of the party in the state.
All right, Mr. Miki, then we are going to the end of the interview. I just have one or two more questions for you to wrap it up. Now, if you dismiss with a wave of hands the place of the TOP faction in your party regarding this election, what about the sentiment of power shift in Osun State? I know for some time now people are clamoring for power shifts to Osun West, and the governor happens to be for Osun Central. So are you saying incumbency factor will be the main thing, not sentiment for power shift in this forthcoming governorship election?
Go and check the records very well, and you can also do your background check. The sentiment for power shift to Osun West was very, very, very loud in 2018, largely because the people of that central district felt neglected by the government. However, since we came in 2018, we have ensured that the infrastructural decay, which gave rise to that agitation, we ensure that we address them. For instance, most of the infrastructure we have deployed to that area were never deployed to that area before we came into office. And that is why, apart from the faction, of our people that are mounting power shifts, the agitation is no longer as loud as it was in the past, because Oyetola has proven that you don't necessarily need to have one of your own in power before you enjoy infrastructure, before you enjoy dividends of democracy. And that is what he has proven. And that is why today, as a matter of fact, the first set of people that endorsed Mr. Governor for a second time were leaders and party members from Osun West. That is to tell you that they have come to reckon with the fact that the current administration did not neglect them the way the previous administrations before this one neglected them.
All right, finally, Mr. Mikidan, let me ask you this question before we call it a day. Now, you understand the mind of your principal, the governor of Osun State, because you've been working together for some years now. So, why is it difficult for the governor and his former principal, the immediate past governor of Osun State, Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, why is it difficult for the governor or the other person to reconcile their fight for about 3 years now? Why is it difficult? And don't you think this will affect the chances of the APC at the forthcoming governorship election?
Let me place on record that, to the best of my knowledge, and as far as I know, my principal is not quarreling with his predecessor. Well, there may be a disagreement over style of governance, but I want to place on record that there's a mutual respect between the two of them. And that is why, if you check anywhere, you will not see anywhere, either from me or from my boss directly, where we cast aspersion on the person and personality of the former governor. Most of those who claim to be fighting on his behalf, unfortunately, are doing so for their selfish interest. These are people who feel very strongly that they ought to be part and parcel of the administration. Again, my principal has tried as much as possible to carry everybody along. So my principal is not quarreling with anyone, including his predecessor. You know, it takes two to fight. If you want to fight me and I tell you I'm not available for a fight, you know the fight can never take place.
Okay, so are you aware? Are you aware whether anyone is quarreling with your principal?
So I do know that some persons in the Osun Progressive, you know, have come out openly to cast aspersion on the person of my principal. But thank God, the people of Osun, they know better. They can differentiate their left from their right. I am very sure if you ask an average Osun man today to compare, to assess the administration of Adegbojo Ochala, he or she will certainly give him a pass mark. And you know that the July governorship elections will not only be decided by our party members alone, but our party members and other Nigerians, including members of the PDP. And if some members of the PDP had cause to confess that they probably did not know that this man will walk the way he's walking, and that perhaps if they were there, they probably would have done as much as he's doing, I believe very strongly that for the interest of the state, for the state to move forward, they will queue behind the Oyetola in July election.
All right, Mr. Amikida, many thanks to you for creating time to join us this morning out of your busy schedule. I so much appreciate your time this morning. Mr. Ismail Amikida is the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor of Osun State, Boyega Oyetola. Many thanks to you, and we look forward to see you when the need arrives some already.
The pleasure is mine. I thank you for giving me this opportunity. God bless.
Thank you, sir. All right, that has been Ismail Amikida, Chief Press Secretary to Governor Boyega Oyetola of Osun State. On that note, we come to the end of this morning's edition of Inside Nigeria. My name remains Body Gbadebo. Make it a result tomorrow for the final edition of the week of Inside Nigeria. Bye for now.